Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. Wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice little Saturday morning over here from Helsinki, Finland. Nice and dark and even overcast for my sweaty self, so this is good. And with that in mind, we got a bit to follow up on Bitcoin. Now, I do want to address the first things first on this video. Bitcoin CME did close, obviously, for the week and did close at 61,000 bucks. So that is a number to remember as we go onwards and forwards here. And typically during the weekends, not to fuss with price action. Short-term timeframes actually are a little more interesting than long-term timeframes over the weekend, but typically speaking, I don't even bother trading over the weekend unless it's something like super obvious. Anyways, with that said, let's go focus on the Krown application now, which we found at app.krown.net. And what do we see? Bitcoin dominance coming back as we'd expect after Bitcoin just barely made a new all-time high. So what does that essentially imply? It essentially implies that as long as Bitcoin is consolidating, obviously altcoins do get their chance to kind of follow up. So we are looking for that pullback on Bitcoin dominance. And well, once Bitcoin gets going again, that's when I'll start to look for them to get absolutely boo-caked once again. Anyways, fear and greed index actually taking a nice leg down, which is good. A little more healthy, I suppose, from an 84 to a 75, our biggest jump in a while now, especially to the downside as well. And that does still put us within the greedy zone, but overall, seeing the market like not super exuberant when Bitcoin is pretty much, for all that I'm concerned with, at all-time highs. Anyways, what else do we see over here that is of interest? We see some, actually not a humongous amount of big gains on the altcoins, but a few: Curve DAO, Phantom Harmony, Huobi, and OKB on the winners list right there, to name a few, and then into the market data tab we go. So a lot of very interesting things right here. This is why I do suspect that we're going to have some sort of a big washout relatively soon here. So we kind of postulated this idea for the past for like the past month or so now, ever since Bitcoin, was kind of obviously bullish, right? And what essentially was that idea? Well, the idea was that, hey, if Bitcoin does make a new all-time high, it probably prints somewhere around about 66 to maybe even 68,000 bucks, and then gets all the breakout traders involved, and then slams it down in front of their very fucking faces, all the way down to maybe 58, 55, or 53, as we'll discuss soon enough. And that perhaps could be what we're looking at relatively soon, as Elsa stomps around like a fucking dinosaur. Anyways, with she doesn't like that one. Does it mean that she's old? Does it mean that she's big? Who knows? No, it just means that you're green and scaly. Anyways, just kidding, baby. Okay, you look great. So yes, we are at those same levels now officially for the past about 48 hours. In fact, we're even above what we did see in early September, and we're very comparable to what we saw in middle of April and November of last year. Sir, please, not right now. Anyways, other than that, we do see that global open interest is at new all-time highs and kind of coming back down off that as well. And so I would be looking for a bit of a washout on this to kind of reset the market, and then very likely long-term continuation. The question is, how far do we get down? Have we already seen the downside? Is there more downside of 55 or maybe even low 50s? In that case, I do remain a bit open-minded with this, and we'll be going over price action rather than anything else to kind of further confirm this. But the setup is there now. It is officially there. It's not just, what we're talking about. It's not just like a cautionary thing in the background. It is quite literally there, and we are at a major precipice right now. These have been the same reads, before pretty much all major moves, actually, both the upside and the downside, in fact. And this is not, of course, just a downside implied move. In fact, looking at the global funding rates, we're, just barely above parity at 0.171. That is not anything concerning at all. If it was like 10 times that number, yeah, absolutely. That'd be very similar to what we saw in April highs, in the February, January highs, and even in the November highs that we saw last year on this read right around over here. Those were, majorly in favor of, well, massive positive funding. Right now, it's, it's more or less neutral as far as I'm concerned. Anyways, with that in mind, that is going to be a big thing to be keeping an eye on going onwards and forwards here. As we just have not seen the major liquidations that you expect, coming off of reads like this. All of those prior reads that we've seen have been just phenomenally nasty liquidation parties. All right, so with that in mind, let's get the fuck out of here and go over to some good old price action, right? So first and foremost, should we follow up on the most important things that we discussed yesterday? Yeah, I think so. So 5-day Bitcoin did close below the topside Toronto band, actually, and CME weekly did what? It actually closed below as well. And these are, this could be considered a nice rejection right here. We did not close on new all-time highs for CME right there, and we closed down on volume, actually. So if I am looking for that pullback, this would be the area to have it from coming into the next 7 days, maybe 10 days, something like that. Again, long-term macro Bitcoin, I'm still very much bullish on. The question is just how far did we get down here? Because those conditions were not met. So I do look at that as somewhat concerning. Of course, the 5-day on CME does still say, long-term good. However, if we do start to come back down below, basically about 58,000 bucks, that's when I, at the very minimum, would be looking for 55 to 54. And then, Bitcoin fails that region. We're probably looking somewhere just below 50. I'd guess, or sorry, I'd just kind of estimate right now at about 48 to 48.5 or so. Anyways, with that in mind, let's go back on over here and let's go over the shorter term timeframes, as we do, or at least I would be going off of ranges more than anything else in this current phase, I suppose. It's just the underlying market dynamics make me sort of aware and want to really flash the cautionary signals there that, if this one does choose some downside, it will be nasty. And if it chooses some upside, well, probably just looking at 70 to 80,000 bucks or so. It's good times once again, baby. But yes, looking at the 4-hour right here, we do see a very obvious same range at about 6,000 bucks. This actually was the extension of the target that we did get from the breakdown 2 days prior. So we actually finally hit it. I was kind of postulating yesterday that we might not actually get there. Nope, looks like we actually got there. So nice, that TA bullshit working every once in a while, which is just enough in this case. And I would be looking at this as the base, the actual base, 60,000 bucks in this case, meaning that if Bitcoin does close, can we even use an hourly on this case? Yeah, I think that we could use an hourly in this case. Below 60,000 bucks, I would be looking for extension down realistically to about 58,000 bucks right here. I know that this blue box is going all the way to 59. Well, I do think there's probably gonna be a short-term time frame bounce around there. No, realistically, very likely coming down somewhere around about 58,000 bucks at that point, maybe 58.5 or so. And then tries for a low there. Let me just get rid of this one as well. It's only relevant to the very, very short-term timeframes. I do not think that we'd see like a major bottom right there, for example. I forgot to go over the fact that Bitcoin has not put in a higher low on the daily just yet, but overall, this still would be long-term bullish. Obviously, just expect a higher low at some point, which is natural. It's fine. It's all good. That's what you want. That's what you need for a good old uptrend. And all of the higher term timeframes have already done that. So all well and good right there. Anyways, as far as the other lower term timeframes, what would I constitute as a resolution of the upside? In this case, a little more difficult. I do think if you're going to be a little more aggressive, you could very easily use about 63,000 bucks on a 4-hour closure. If you want to be super conservative, then you'd be using about 63.5 in this case. You could probably use an hourly in that case. So if you are going to be using it's actually just below 63,000 bucks, 62.9 in fact. On a 4-hour closure, it would only be for a 4-hour, not for an hourly. If you're going to be more conservative, an hourly above about 63.5 would do it for me. And then yes, I'd be looking for another retest of basically the per all-time highs in this case, and very likely just general continuation, from there over time, of course. Anyways, momentum oscillators, what are they saying right now? 4-hour BBWP says a bit of a contraction. We do see a negative slope on the moving average here now officially. So yes, range at best, at worst does dump out, and 58,000 bucks next target. 4-hour RSI, what are we seeing right here? A bit of a short-term rejection of the bearish control zone. That is to be expected on the first pass after a long time of being away from it. I mean, this is, all well and fine right here. In fact, if I'm looking at the 4-hour RSI, it does say that we could potentially even see the next daily low come from kind of where we're at right now. Speaking of the daily, would that look like it? I mean, I'd just love to see a nice wick down to the 21 right there. It'd be so fucking classic now, wouldn't it? But things can't be that easy. Things can't be that easy. It's just not the way that the universe was created. All right, so let's go over here and look at momentum oscillators and see if they kind of match with anything that we're looking at. Yep, hourly at about 6,750 right there. So if you are looking at the very, 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 very short-term timeframes right here, which actually are, somewhat applicable over the weekend, I would be, if this condition is confirmed, I would be looking for another short-term move back up somewhere around 61.6. If you happen to give a fuck. Above there, I'd probably even extend targets at the very minimum to 62.250. So these are massive ranges here. So that's a $500 fucking trade potentially. And potentially even more continuation on top of that, because if we get into the 4-hour, what does it suggest? We actually do see 4-hour stocks all the way at the bottom right here, and will twist up with any sort of a closure basically above that same number, 60,750 or so. And then yeah, I'd basically be looking for a move, let's just say to 62.250 to maybe even 62.5, depending upon the other time frames fall through. 12-hour, what are we seeing right here? Nosediving as long as below 66. So do I think that we're gonna be trending a new all-time high today, or even past 66? Probably not. No. Probably not even past, if I had to guess, 64, if anything. And daily also nosediving below 66,000 bucks as well. So, if I did have to call it right now, yeah, I do think that Bitcoin probably does go for the correction from here. After maybe a bit of a short-term sideways and maybe even upside on a weekend. In fact, just as a general postulation, over the weekend, this particular weekend, today, Saturday, if we do see an upside move, I'd probably be looking at that as a good signal that we very likely will come down early next week or middle of next week to those lower targets. And that's at the point where I really start to be interested in, potentially even some long-term positions if I am that type of person, which I'm typically not. Anyways, 2-day, same thing, 66350, so even worse. And 5-day is showing 57,800 or so, so kind of pinned around that $58,000 number. And then weekly, where are we at on the weekly? 58.5 as well. So coming down to that region, as long as Bitcoin doesn't close below it, it's okay. Not a big deal. But with the way that things are situated right now, we don't necessarily have what you'd look for on like a weekly breakout that's going to lead towards immediate continuation. And I think that's rather obvious now, granted the pullback. So I think that we've been pretty damn consistent with that, and I'm quite proud of that. No, it's it's good to keep your expectations curtailed in these sort of regions, because long term, the macro is still very much bullish. So the main game is not fucking faking your own self out and making it more difficult for yourself than it needs to be. Anyways, we are how deep into this video? 11 minutes into this video. Maybe I'll just briefly go over those next sort of set of targets. So again, you got this area right here, about 58,000 bucks based off the daily 21 and also just prior ranges and breakout. And do you have a bit of a head and shoulders going on right here? Kind of not. I would say no in this case, but I'm just curious if the measure move would actually match up with about 55, because that would be rather interesting nonetheless. Let's just see. And what do you fucking know? What do you fucking know? It would right around about 55,000 bucks, also in line with the not 12-hour but daily 55 should be coming up into that region. I would estimate basically around middle of next week, actually. So if we are going to get that move, I do think it happens this next week, actually. Very, 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 very likely. And again, still would be long-term good. I mean, this is still an uptrend. We just don't have a higher low on this right now. It's just been a straight move from 40,000 bucks to 67,000 bucks, and now leverages all the way to the fucking moon and more. So I am considering that this could be like a quick Darth Maul dildo day where we do see like a big move down there, then close back, I don't know, somewhere around 59 to 60. That would look pretty damn good long term and keep the boo laws in charge. Where would I start to get concerned about this price action? That's actually a really good question to ask myself, because as always, you should be aware of such things, and or your own questions to yourself, obviously, not just talking to my own self over here like a fucking schizophrenic. But where to start to get concerned? Below about 53,000 bucks, or you could even say 54,000 bucks. I think that's close enough in this case on a daily closure. I think that Bitcoin's going to retrace a significant amount more if that were to happen. And when I say a significant amount more, I mean certainly below 50,000 bucks, very likely somewhere around 47 to 48,000 bucks if I had to guess right now. So that is kind of what I'm looking at this current moment in time. I do want to remind myself, because we are getting close to the end of the month here, to look at the monthly, and the monthly is still very, 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 very good. Very fucking good, actually. Even if we close at 55,000 bucks, that'd be phenomenal, actually. So I have no major issues with that. The bi-monthly, same thing as well. If we close anywhere above 56,650, I mean, that's going to be trading above the bi-monthly Bollinger Band. Let's actually look at spot price action as well. Yeah, basically same area, 56.5 actually. So anywhere above there, I'd be looking for the next 2 months to make significantly new all-time highs. And again, these targets have really been unchanged here. I mean, 80,000 bucks would be the next major target. Do I think that things would stop there? Very unlikely. We very, 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 very unlikely see a major high at the 1.618. It's more likely to be the 2414, those 2618 at like 122, or sorry, yeah, about 120 to 130,000 bucks. That's where I'd really be looking for, maybe for the next like 2 to 3 months, if that were to be confirmed. So again, this is, in my opinion, the time to be paying attention, because there actually might be a major opportunity right around the corner. Of course, this is not financial advice, so I'm not a financial advisor. Further thing from it, in fact. So with all that said, I am going to be signing off now. I want to wish you the best, and the happiest. And yeah. Have a good one. Take care. See you soon.